Hi, my name is Aaliyah Brooks, and I'm a sophomore at NYU, currently studying marketing and entrepreneurship. And today I will be interviewing Macy Johnson. Macy Johnson is in charge of a career development program at BOK Financial Corporation. Macy is also a member of RMARMA, which stands for the Risk Management Association. The RMA is a non-for-profit, member-driven professional association serving the financial services industry. Its sole purpose is to advance the use of sound risk management principles in the financial services industry. Hi, Macy. How are you?
I'm good, Leah. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Okay, well, we can just start off with the first question. Would you please describe what your typical workday entails and what your first few years in your career were like?
Sure. So I run our career development programs, which is specific to a full-time associate program, which is a year-long rotational program, as well as our internship program. So I focus on two different areas within the financial services industry, and I manage 11 of the associates and then 15 interns during the summer. So a lot of my day-to-day job is really focusing on one-on-ones with them and conversations with them around what they're learning, teaching them and training them within the line of business. But really the most important part is the soft skills training that I focus on. And so I've got some certifications that I use on a day-to-day basis. One of those is a brain-based neuroscience certification in coaching. And so a lot of that is having good conversations as a manager today. And I also have situational leadership, which is focused really on management of what your employee needs during that time frame. So I use those a lot. The other half of my job is data and metrics, really focused in on how our graduates are doing. The program that I lead has been in our organization for about 50, 60 years. So it's got a longevity within BOK Financial and has been a huge part of the organization. So we want to make sure that we're tracking how our graduates of the program are doing and really the value that they bring to the table. So kind of my day-to-day, it looks different depending on the time of year. We have our interns that start in just a few weeks, and so I'll be busy with them here in a few weeks. And in July, our new hires start. So we are fast and furious right now with onboarding and getting computers and desk space and systems all lined up for them. But that's really the primary focus in the current day that I'm in.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The next question is, what high school courses or college courses would you have found to be the most important for your occupation?
So business writing, I think, is crucial. And really any classes that you can take around strategic communication or sociology, I think has helped me a lot in just knowing the way that people think and interact with others. As much as an important skill set is the technical skill set, by taking those financial statement courses or accounting courses or economic courses, really what I've learned in the role I'm in today is that it's the people part that plays a huge role into how you're able to interact. And so I wish I had an adulting 101 course that you could have taken, even with that, just around what is a 401k? Should I be saving for retirement? How do I plan for benefits? What do I do when I'm filling out my own taxes, and how does that work? And so there's so many of those things that I think could be beneficial to a high school or even a college level coursework. So if your organization or if your college does offer those, I certainly would say to take those, because a lot of the job that I do is we have new hires and interns come on board. A lot of the conversations I have with them are around those life skills more than the technical skill set. So those are some of my favorites. Again, I think business writing or business ethics are two of the most crucial, just as we start to frame and think of the world from a risk management perspective. That is going to be huge, to be able to communicate clearly and concisely with other people around you, whether that be email, face-to-face, over an IM messenger at work, whatever the case may be. I think that's one of the most vital skill sets that a student should have coming out of college.
Okay, thank you. That information was extremely helpful. I just have another question in terms of financial services. I'm currently studying marketing entrepreneurship at Stern, but what do you think is the most important when you're looking for hires out of business school and that want to intern or join your organization?
Yeah. So any opportunity that you have to manage a team or step into a leadership role, I think has a great impact in how you can show up in the business world. And really more than that, we hire students with MIS degrees, marketing degrees, liberal arts degrees. And so when I think from a holistic approach of who's coming into our organization, those that have led a team project or been in a leadership role within a organization at college or focused on different aspects of what they're really passionate about, I think really plays a crucial role in how they show up in their day-to-day business. I'd say one of the biggest things that I focus on today is just around joining a corporate organization and really not only understanding corporate culture, but finding ways and nuances to how company culture is changing. And the more open and flexible that you can be in that capacity, I think is extremely important. I've been with the organization for a little over 4.5 years. And one thing that's constant, I think, across the board with any organization you join is that there's going to be change. And that's good stuff and really important to be able to handle change. But anything you can do to learn about a process changing in an organization or making something better, even better if type of situations, those are really, really impactful for a new student coming in that's really open to doing things different or looking at it with a different lens. That's where you add the most value. A lot of times we talk about with our new hires, we're paying you for your opinions and for the knowledge that you have. And so it's really easy to get in the menial, tactical, day-to-day, but really what we want to know is what you think. And that's extremely crucial to be able to have those insightful thoughts and put them down on paper and find solutions to do that. In a lot of ways that we've seen students come in and be successful in that is really around maybe taking the leap of faith and being the director of a group on campus or president of a sorority or fraternity or whatever the case may be, that really does play a part in just being change agile.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The next question is, what part-time jobs or apprenticeships or internships or any extracurricular activities would best prepare you for this occupation?
So again, I think just hopping back into, I'm in a management role and I lead about 30 every year. So from a management perspective, anytime that you're able to showcase that you've, dealt with other people and been able to have those crucial conversations, maybe even in a uncomfortable conflict area, that really does help, I think, set you up for success in the role that I'm in. I started at the organization as a university recruiter. And so my entire job was to recruit students like you to the organization. And really the biggest thing that I think I learned from that role, and that has been a huge help for me that I learned in undergrad, was focusing on the relationship building and getting to know somebody and understanding what drives them, because especially for students that are looking for their first job, they could be applying to one job, they could be applying to 100 jobs. But what is setting your company apart and what's unique about you that you can communicate to them that showcases they should be a part of the organization? And so it's from the very beginning when you get that application to potentially offering them a job. And that's super important. Another kind of internship that I had that I think sets it apart and has been extremely helpful, I worked in digital marketing, actually in New York City one summer. And digital marketing just in general, I think really helps you when you learn how to be succinct and how to communicate with somebody at a digital level versus a face-to-face. You don't always have that opportunity to see somebody in person and sell them on your organization. And so being able to understand the digital marketing strategy, but I think even more than that is understanding the data and the metrics that go with it. And so once you're able to analyze a situation or a process and then tell the story of how you got to that point, that's really what drives success in any organization. And so the more that you can find internships where you're adding value and focusing on ways to stretch your skill set, especially a technical skill set, is very, very important for your first job.
Would you please be able to tell me what are the benefits of being a member of RMA? And can you tell me about the networking and educational opportunities offered by your program?
Sure. So Risk Management Association, as you mentioned, is a nonprofit organization that really focuses on educating financial services industries. And so there's a lot of different educational events that happen throughout different chapters that we have throughout the United States. There's actually 110 chapters, so I'm a part of the Oklahoma board, but I also serve as a Young Professionals Committee Chair for the national group. And so a few different elements that I get to work with the RMA on, specifically educational events for young lenders or bankers in the organization that really need to understand the risk disciplines that come within the enterprise risk that happens within our industry. And so whether that's an all-day course, 2 or 3 day course, whether that's an hour-and-a-half luncheon, or even just a networking event with other students or young bankers or even seasoned bankers or professionals in risk management that can help them and provide clarity on what's going on today with our regulators. So that's the main function. There's also a student membership that provides students an opportunity to really understand the financial services industry. We have a lot of different opportunities to gain scholarships through the RMA Foundation. We also do a lot of internship opportunities. In fact, one of the students that got a scholarship this year is interning at my organization this summer. So really just a good chance to start understanding and familiarizing yourself with risk management within financial services and how that can parlay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you be able to tell me if there was anything surprising that you found about your career?
So I think one of the big things that I found is being within the banking realm. I really came from a marketing background and strategic communication background. And so it was a little nerve-wracking in the beginning to wrap my head around the financial services industry, especially with that not being what I had studied and what I really dove into in my undergrad and in my internships. And so as I think through the learning process and the learning curve that I've had over the last 4 years, you really can learn anything and focus on it as long as you have the right mentors and the right attitude around it. I think that's the most surprising thing, is how quickly I was able to pick up on an industry because I cared about it. And not necessarily because I was looking for a job in banking, but because I got the opportunity to work with awesome people that really showed their passion around the organization and industry. And I would say it's the same for Risk Management Association. When I first got involved, I'm not in the credit function at my organization, and that's what RMA focuses on, is sound credit and risk discipline. And so it was a little nerve-wracking to be on a board with a lot of people that's their full-time job. But I would say from a value-add perspective, as long as you have the right attitude and are willing to learn and start to understand the industry, you can make an impact. And so I think that's my biggest surprise, is just how welcoming and easy it was to pick up on a new skill set that I really didn't know too much about.
Great. And would you be able to tell us about the trajectory of how you went from your previous career and you entered this one, and kind of how was the change of changing from one career to another? Like, was it seamless? Was it difficult? Do you feel like you had the right skill sets? And kind of like, how did you create a toolbox so that you could step into this new industry confidently and like do your job well?
Yeah, transferable skills are huge. And again, I came from a marketing background. I'd mentioned I had worked in digital marketing before. I had been with music labels and completely different aspect of what I do today in banking. And some of the things that I really think have helped me be able to join the organization and make a value add from the very get-go is focused around the emotional intelligence that you can have around just self-awareness, what you're good at, what you're bad at, coming in every day and being prepared to use the opportunity that you have to do good work and focus on, what your boss is asking you to do, and even going further than that. I think a few things that we look for that has been super important through my career is just having intellectual curiosity. So if you don't know the answer to a question, try and find it yourself. And if you can't, come up with, and identify ways to have solutions or be curious to the point of asking the why behind why you're doing the analysis or what makes sense. And that's where the most learning comes from. I think that was huge, as well as the emotional intelligence piece. Something else we've really focused on is grit. And so, within my first job, I was working pretty long hours just doing university recruiting, and it's heavy in the fall season. And so it was my first year, and we had done some different changes at my organization, and I had a new manager. I was reporting up through another team that I was new with in my first year. And so having some grit through those seasons to be able to continue to do the job at hand and understand the importance of you're making an impact on the organization, regardless of what's going on around you, I think is super important. And so within that spectrum, that was something that really has stuck with me. And whenever I have new hires that come in, those are the things that we tell them to really focus on from a transferable skill set perspective. I think from a technical skill set, I have taken some financial accounting courses. I've sat through our credit training program, as well as overviews around all of the different offerings that we have. And so Risk Management Association has helped me a lot with that, to just understand the verbiage and the lingo that maybe I didn't have in previous jobs. But as you have and can identify your strengths and your skill set, I think it's important to be self-aware of how you're showing up and what you can bring to the table. And that's okay to sell in an interview. I think a lot of people sell themselves short in an interview and focus on, what they don't know about the job. But when you focus on what you do know, that's really when you can find the impact quicker and easier with your manager to be able to show up and do good work every day.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that your organization was actually able to continue to give you classes so that you were able to adjust. Because I know, like, when you're taking college courses, the finance track is very intense. And personally, I'm not necessarily a numbers person all the time. Like, I've taken a lot of strong core business classes, like accounting, microeconomics, macroeconomics.
Right.
When it comes to, like, financial accounting, like, specifically, it gets to be a lot for me. So I was more interested in, like, marketing and entrepreneurship. So I think that's really cool that your organization was able to, like, give you a set of classes that also made you, even more transferable to their industry.
Yeah.
Having a background in
training and development. Yeah, training and development is huge right now and should be across really all organizations. But we do such a great job at making sure that the people that we have in revenue producing jobs and non-revenue producing jobs, and they get a chance to expand and upskill and reskill things that maybe they have back in their brain, but it's not their number one factor in their day-to-day job. And so there's a lot of opportunity for that, and we continue to look at ways to encourage and train people in different areas. So not just the soft skill side, but really the technical side as well, to make sure that our organization is focusing on that. So unique for us, definitely, and another reason why I love working here. But I appreciate you mentioning that, because you're right, a lot of times that isn't the case.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to add to the interview or that you're interested in sharing?
I think the biggest thing for me, and just when I can get a chance to talk about it, I will, but I really am interested in generations. And I'm a millennial, and I'm managing millennials, and as well as the next generation coming up. And so there's so much conversation about us in the media today and how we show up and what we like and what we do. And what I really would say is that it's a stage of life more than it is a generation. And I think, the things that we have today and that define ourselves within your 20s or 30s even, really is focusing on good development for yourself. So find a manager in an organization that will help you understand the first few years of what your career is going to be. And also know that the first job you get is not your last. And you're not signing a dotted line to a 30-year career. While I think you can get a 30-year career at one organization, I think there's different things that are going to be coming as we continue to see digitization, as well as just the people skills being an important part of the relationship side of any business that you go into. And so that'd be my biggest thing is for anybody really watching this, regardless of your generation, know that I really think this is a stage of life of you're out of college and you're making some decisions and you want to make sure that you're learning the most in your first 5, 10, 15 years. I do think you can do that with one organization, but I think being mindful of the fact that you might not get your dream job right after college is extremely important, and really focus on where you're going to learn the most and focus the most. And I promise you opportunities will open up for you if you focus on that versus always looking for the next best thing.
Great. Furthermore, would you like to just speak more on being a university recruiter and what type of things you look for when talking to students on campus, and what makes a student stand out when they're trying to speak to you? And also the last thing is like, what makes your organization that us college students come to and like want to work at?
So I'll put back on my university recruiter hat. It's been a few years, but from that perspective, we really look at a few different things. And again, I mentioned we hire a lot of different majors that come into the wealth management business, commercial banking, information technology, consumer banking, risk management, audit. I mean, we hire for really all different groups. And so while I think, maybe the gist is that we silo to a finance or accounting degree, there's a lot of different opportunities within our industry. And so I think these are some of the greatest students and greatest interviews I've been in. It really is focusing on doing your research beforehand. I would say for any college student looking for a job after, senior year or even an internship, you can put out feelers to 30 different places, but I promise you, if you focus in on maybe 10 that you really want to work for and you've done your research on, you have a better shot at getting an internship than applying to 30 that you haven't done research on. And so just from the employer standpoint, when someone comes up to me and says, hey, I've looked at your LinkedIn profile and I have done a lot of research on the bank, and I heard you just had an acquisition in Colorado, just for an example, that really shows me that they've done their research and know what they're looking for. A lot of times I think students have a perception that they need to know exactly what they want to do after college, and that's not really what sells me on a candidate. I think what sells me more is their interest and drive into learning about banking and understanding it, and admitting, maybe I don't know exactly what I want to do within banking, but I do know that I have an interest in financial services, and here's the why behind it. So really digging deep into the organization is crucial. Even if you know the interviewer that you're meeting with, I think you get a chance to make that personal connection as well. You should always have 5 questions, if not more, prepared for your interviewer, and really focus that more on your interest versus what you think you should be asking. So I do think it's important to ask about, what's a day-to-day, and, what would the job entail? What does a career path look like? But also, what do you want to know that maybe other people aren't asking? Because if you're having an interview with you, they're probably having an interview with 15 to 16, 30 other people. So really make sure that you're setting yourself apart in that realm. I think something that sets us apart from an organization really falls back to the training and development that we get as we partner with Risk Management Association. I'm 4 years into my career. I'm able to sit on the board of Risk Management Association and partner with them. That's really unique for someone that's young in their career to be able to have the opportunities to do that. And organization gives you that. We have a lot of opportunity to work with people at all different levels of the organization. And it's pretty rare to be able to have a mentor that is in a C-level job, whether that's the CFO, the COO, a director of a different group. That's extremely important for us to have those mentors, and we pair people with those people. So it's very helpful to see both sides of the table and understand what your career could look like, 30 years down the line.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. This is a great interview. I really appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Aaliyah. You have a good one too.
Okay.